Do you know at the Mumbai McDonald's you can't get a Big Mac? All you can get is the Chicken Maharaja Mac.
While fast food restaurants may be everywhere, sometimes weeding out the good from the bad and the ugly is a bit harder to do. So here are the top 10 most shocking fast food facts. Dirty ice drinks.
Hey, buddy. Small Coke, no ice. Small Coke, no ice.
One of our favorite things that has happened at fast food restaurants over the last little while is how many of them have moved the fountain drink machines to the public space and given us the ability to fill our own cups. Not only does this allow us to mix sodas together for our individual versions of what the kids call swamp juice, but it also means we can go back for free refills. But the question is, should we be drinking the soda in the first place? And well, the answer is yes, as long as you're okay with all the sugar and you don't put ice in it. The huge amount of sugar in sodas probably won't shock anyone, but the cleanliness of the ice sure will. And we can thank 12-year-old Floridian Jasmine Roberts for this one. In an award-winning science project, the preteen compared the ice water at fast food restaurants to the toilet water at those same restaurants, and what she found was, well, prepare to be shocked. She discovered that 70% of the time, ice from the fast food restaurants was dirtier than the toilet water.
Ugh.
Yeah, ew.
Ugh, gross, right, guys?
This means that 7 out of 10 times it would have been better to drink from the toilet than fill your cup with ice from the ice dispenser. And just in case you were still thinking about putting ice in your drink, Roberts found that, in a number of cases, the ice tested positive for E. coli bacteria, which, as we know, comes from human waste. Ick, yuck, and blech. The colors you crave.
Whoa, so orange.
What do the Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and In-N-Out logos all have in common? You may not have noticed this before, but all of them, and many others, feature the colors red and yellow. And many of these restaurants also use these colors as part of the interior decor. And no, this isn't just some crazy coincidence. There is a scientific method to their madness. As it turns out, those color palettes have been shown to do exactly what a fast food joint is looking to do. Red and yellow grab consumers' attention. They help stimulate your appetite. They can increase the speed at which we eat, and they will make us crave all things of convenience, which is pretty much the definition of fast food, no?
Right.
So to avoid giving yourself indigestion by eating too much food too fast, may we suggest using the drive-thru. This removes much of that red and yellow stimuli and may keep your cravings and portions somewhat in check, although you will even notice it on many of the drive-thru menus. While we don't know whether wearing sunglasses that mute the colors will do anything as far as muting the psychological effects of the colors and the decor, we do know that there is a complete science behind the colors you see at fast food restaurants. Medium soda isn't really medium.
Most people call it a gallon, but they call it the regular.
Okay, so yes, it is medium in the sense that it is the size in between small and large, but it sometimes isn't the medium you might think it is. Allow us to explain. You see, it is a well-known fact that people, when given 3 options, small, medium, and large, tend to select the middle option. It's just human nature. So with that in mind, these restaurants figured out a way to use that fact to their advantage and get more money from us. And they sometimes do that by putting more ounces of soda in each size. So what was medium before now has been filled with a large amount of soda. This means that they can now charge more for it, and it costs them so little to add a few ounces that the extra profit is well worth it. Well, it's worth it for them, but probably not for us.
Tell me about it.
Those extra ounces of sugar and the extra cost are 2 things we don't need. So if you really want a soda with your meal, and sometimes there really is nothing better with a burger and fries, try to stick to the small size. Not only is it healthier, but at some fast food joints, ordering the small is actually getting the medium size we wanted in the first place. McDonald's doesn't go bad.
Is that good? It sounds bad.
We all do it. We go through our fridge every week or two and get rid of the food that's gone bad. The moldy cheese, the smelly milk, the leftovers that have gotten a little, shall we say, fuzzy. Sure, it's a little gross, but we understand that's what happens to food. Well, apparently not all food. You see, back in 2010, New York photographer Sally Davies conducted an experiment of sorts in which she had 2 jars. In one jar, she placed a McDonald's hamburger and some fries, and in the other, she put French fries from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, cut to 5 months later, and while the KFC fries were, as you would expect, covered with mold, the Mickey D's dinner still looked as edible as it did 5 months prior.
What?
As disturbing as that sounds, Davies kept taking photos of the meal, and not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 years later, in July of 2015, you would be hard-pressed to see any real difference between what it looked like when it was first put in the jar. Besides shocking, what does this mean about the food? Well, according to an expert in the field, McDonald's would need to be using a lot of sodium propionate to prevent bacterial or mold growth. Talk about standing the test of time. The words they use.
Hot or spicy meat. Yeah, boy.
How many of us have walked into a fast food restaurant determined to order something light and healthy and ended up sitting down with a tray piled high with hamburgers, french fries, and an ice cream sundae? Well, don't blame yourself. From the moment you walked up to the counter and looked up at the menu, you were being set up to fail in your healthy quest. And much of it comes down to the words used on the menu. Words are a powerful tool, and fast food restaurants and food marketers use them wisely in order to push us towards the items they want us to order.
They have one that's called the Meat Tornado. Literally killed a guy last year.
Words and phrases like hot and juicy, crispy, and fresh all work to increase consumer cravings for particular items, the items the restaurant wants us to buy. And the reason they tend to push the less healthy items is because those are more likely to hook you and bring you back again and again. The numbers on this are pretty amazing. Researchers at Cornell University found that customers are 27% more likely to order an item if it's described with yummy-sounding adjectives. And it's not just the words, but how those words are presented that can affect what we order. Everything from the font used to the colors and even the graphic choices can help sway consumers one way or another. It isn't as cheap as we think.
$2 a piece.
Good deal.
Besides being fast, one of the reasons many of us end up eating fast food as much as we do is the perceived lower cost of doing so. We are willing to forego our diets and down some fast food if it means saving some sweet moolah for other things in our lives. Cha-ching! But the question then becomes, how much cash are we actually saving? Sure, in 1972, you could get a Big Mac for 55 cents and a small order of fries for only 20 cents more.
Wow.
But it's not 1972 anymore, and the prices at fast food joints have gone up significantly. Now, yes, a fast food meal will put less strain on your wallet than, say, going to your local steakhouse for a ribeye with all the fixings, but for most families of 4, you can expect to spend about $30 to eat at McDonald's, or more if you all get dessert, or like some people we know, need an extra burger and 6 McNuggets to feel full. Fast food isn't as cheap as we make it out to be, and the cost definitely adds up. It's kinda made of silly putty.
The silly putty.
Not so silly anymore.
Okay, so technically fast food isn't made of silly putty, but we weren't coming entirely out of left field when we made that overly shocking statement. Let's look at some fast food favorites and you'll see where we're coming from. Take the McNuggets and Filet-O-Fish from McDonald's and the Spicy Chicken Sandwich Deluxe from Chick-fil-A. What do these 3 tasty menu items have in common? Well, that would be a little something called dimethylpolysiloxane.
What?
Dimethylpolysiloxane is a form of silicone used as an anti-foaming agent in food. We're not sure which part is less appetizing, the silicone or the anti-foaming. Or maybe it's the fact that this silicone compound is also used in cosmetics and silly putty. Now, we should say that dimethylpolysiloxane is FDA approved as a secondary direct food additive, and as far as we know, it poses no serious health risks. Although we can say that it it does cause us to have a slightly upset stomach just thinking about ingesting something that shares a common ingredient with shampoo, conditioners, other various skincare products, and yes, silly putty. Thank Walter Anderson and Billy Ingram. Who are Walter Anderson and Billy Ingram, and what do we have to thank them for, you ask? Well, they are the two men who created White Castle and opened their first location in Wichita, Kansas in the 1920s. Before Walter and Billy opened up the first White Castle location, hamburgers weren't really a thing people went to restaurants to eat. They were generally made from slaughterhouse scraps and were thought of as low-quality food sold at fairs, circuses, and from lunch carts. But Anderson and Ingram had a vision of good burgers and set out to change that negative perception by making their kitchens visible to the public and by painting the restaurants white, which was meant to make customers feel like the place was clean.
Game changer.
And that was just the beginning. Once hamburgers started to be seen in a different light, we can trace a direct line from that to the total flood of fast food joints we all now find ourselves surrounded by on a day-to-day basis. Although, if you're Harold and Kumar, the closest White Castle isn't close enough. Happy Meal equals weight loss.
Welcome to McDonald's.
Guys, chill out!
You don't need to be a kid or even have a kid in order to enjoy a McDonald's Happy Meal. In fact, it might just be the best option for you and your waistline. And yes, there's research to back that up. Logically, most of us can understand that eating the smaller portions of a Happy Meal as opposed to a regular McDonald's order is better for your weight. However, the research takes this idea one step further by showing that even though people consumed less food and fewer calories with the Happy Meal, they tended not to overcompensate later on in the day, meaning they didn't stuff more food down their throat later to make up for the smaller Happy Meal. While the health factor is important, as it turns out, it's that toy that comes with the Happy Meal which is a major factor in why anyone, not just kids, decide to purchase said option.
Shut up and take my money.
Even a small, non-food gift is enough to motivate someone to select a smaller portioned meal. It's very interesting to note that the half-sized portion and a non-food gift combo stimulates the same part of the brain, the area responsible for reward, desire, and motivation, as the full portion meal on its own, regardless of how hungry the person is. There are some healthy choices.
It's called Beyond KFC. It's all plant-based, soy protein, and just, you gotta taste this. Just try it.
Yes, it would appear that you can go to a fast food restaurant and eat healthy. Unfortunately, you can't do that by ordering Whoppers, Big Macs, and large fries and washing it all down with a soda.
Horse!
It takes some careful navigating of the menu, but even some dietitians have discussed the possibility of stopping at a fast food joint and eating pretty much guilt-free. Often, a chicken wrap is a decent choice. Salads are good, but as you may already know, you will have to avoid the dressing, as one of the few McDonald's items that is actually made with a real freshly cracked egg, an Egg McMuffin is a better choice than you may have thought as well. But we will also point out that often the items you assume are healthy aren't. A good example of this is fast food oatmeal. While it definitely sounds healthy and part of a good morning breakfast, the oatmeal you get at fast food restaurants is often filled with a whole lot of sugar. One report put the amount of sugar in a bowl of fast food oatmeal as higher than what you would get in a whole bag of M&Ms. And let's get real here. If we are going to put that much sugar in our bodies, we're going to do it via a bag of M&Ms instead of a bowl of oatmeal. Priorities, people.
Think about it.
We're serving up more great videos. Just tap or click, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell to join our notification squad. And hey, leave us a comment.